Yeah, welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show. Today I'm speaking with James Hilovsky, former minor league baseball player, turned franchise expert, and CEO of Dream. James helped people transition from sports and corporate job into business ownership by finding the right franchise or turning their own business into one. He represents over 400 brands across industries, from home service to fitness and education, and bring a real down-to-earth understanding of what it takes to build something that lasts. It's really a pleasure having you on the show, James.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate being on.
Yeah, thank you. So, James, what was it like growing up?
Growing up was, for me, it was all about baseball. It really was baseball, baseball, baseball. I played all sports, but my love was always baseball. And, I was really good in high school, and I got an offer to play in the Phillies minor league system. So went there, and I was a pretty big fish in a little pond where I grew up. When I got out there, my goodness, everybody threw hard, had curveballs. So I didn't do so well, and my confidence was shaken. And it just didn't work out. So then I had to find, okay, what am I going to do now? And I was still very young, so I dabbled in the restaurant business and fine dining, waiter, and all that. And then I actually moved into fast food, believe it or not, in the restaurant business, and stayed there for 20 years and 25 years, worked my way up from, just a lower management into a regional manager. And then I got a call from another restaurant chain, said, "Hey, we're looking to build our franchise side. So come work for us and come support our franchisees." So I started when we had one store, and I helped build that up to 100. And so was doing great in that, and supporting franchisees and just getting to know, them, and just being a liaison between them and corporate. And then one of the largest franchisees, they came and said, "Hey, come partner with us." And, that just made a lot of sense because they were really close to where I live. So we continued with their restaurants. We did another franchise, ice cream franchise. We did our own coffee shop concept and then a cookie dough concept. And the partners that I partnered with were 2 NFL football players. So one of them then retired, one of the brothers, and then the other brother, he couldn't fulfill the end of his contract. So they decided, hey, we kind of want to sell off and go into the tequila business, which I was happy. I was done with my restaurant toward that point, but I didn't want to join them because I don't know a lot about tequila, not my forte, nothing against it, but just not, not me. So when I decided, what am I going to do? I knew I didn't want to buy another restaurant. I knew I kind of had my fill of that. It was a great industry, still a great industry. It just wasn't for me anymore. So I looked at different industries that were out there, pet care, home services, all sorts of things. And I then decided, I saw a lot of people in that restaurant company that probably shouldn't have been franchisees, and no one helped them or told them what to look for. And I was just like, I think I want to help people like that find the right franchise match for them to instead. I don't want them getting into the system where they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. So that's why I decided to start franchise brokering and also working with athletes too, because, with the brothers, I saw many people that would just go, "Hey, you know what, Venmo me $40. They were probably someone they hadn't talked to in 5 years, but just because they had money, they just thought they could just, pull on their purse strings.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to help athletes in that way of, hey, this is sound investment. I'll show you what's out there and we can go from there.
Wow, amazing, amazing. It really inspired being that before you actually started the franchise, it does a whole lot of couples of things. You do the restaurants, you went to different business, being a manager here and there. Yeah, it's really a whole lot. And I was wondering, how did you manage transition from this particular thing? Because at one point you were from baseball, you were restaurants from restaurants. How did you actually manage our transition from this particular store to these before you actually more like start your business and do what you do?
Yeah. So just really to manage, baseball to the rest, that was really tough because it was like, okay, well, my sports career is over. All right, now I got to figure out what to do. I put myself in the restaurant business, and I looked at that business and I said, well, what do I love? I love sports. But I love the restaurant business and what's going on now. So I'm going to treat this like it is a sports team, and these are my teammates. And basically, I went into work every day thinking I was running a sports franchise and not a restaurant. So I had my teammates, I had the general manager. So that's kind of how I structured it and really how I've always kind of done it, really.
Wow, that was really, really amazing. An amazing perspective of looking at taking what you know towards something I just diving into with a particular concept, seeing them as a team. So, how did you now view leadership when it comes to the restaurants and leading people, being that you were seeing them as part of your team and more from the perspective of football? How do you now view leadership from this particular end?
Yeah, well, really, when dealing with people and dealing with them with legs, I always leaned on that of how to deal with people. And for one thing, I always would treat everyone with respect. If there was a guy in the restaurant and he was sweeping up the parking lot of straws or trash that were out there, I would make sure I would go talk to him. How's your day going? Hey, what you're doing is very important because these are very important part. Everyone plays a part to make the machine go and to make the team work. So I wanted to make sure I treated everyone very equally. Always tried to do that, and just really wanted to just know, hey, when you're working for me, you're part of a team. We're going to watch each other's back, and there's going to be some hard conversations at times. And if you're not performing, we got to cut you. So, I mean, just kind of had the mentality of what it was like and just to be fair to everybody. But I believe employees are not a necessary evil. I think, it's great to treat them with the respect that they deserve to be treated for. And just, you get so many ideas and you get so much more productivity when you treat your employees just very well.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for that. So, what was the turning point that made you say, I want something of my own? At one point you were actually more like you into sport, then restaurants, and then you start managing, and you went to venture into more like a franchising, and you work with the biggest brand who are into franchising. What was the turning point that made you said, okay, I want to do my own thing for these specific people into you see their struggles? How did it came about?
I think really it was dealing with the franchisees when I was working so closely with them in that one restaurant of like, wow, I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm really good at what I do. So I could do this in my sleep and I really should do this for myself and not for the company. And, it was, I had many people that were working there that offered me to be a partner in their business. And I chose the one that I did because of, they had a sports background. We really meshed, but they also were people that I was looking for, just to be in a team and not someone that was going to, take advantage of me and just not treat me well. I mean, you could see when you had people out there that were franchisees that were they just wanted you so they could work you to the bone and not really, they wanted you as a doer and not really part ownership in a team. That was what made me go with them. But really it was just seeing that and then also going, it's time to bet on yourself. You've bet on yourself all your life. Why don't you do that? And I think more in the entrepreneur world, I think the biggest challenge for anybody going into it is fear
Yeah.
of the unknown, fear if you can be successful. you know, to this day, when I'm talking with people about looking at franchises, I get them, well, I don't know if I wanted to, I'm not sure I want to do that because I don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, wait a minute, the tariffs, that's not going to matter on you being an entrepreneur. I mean, it's just a convenient excuse to hide behind the fear
Yeah.
of betting on yourself and taking that leap.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So for those who just hear a franchise for the first time, how do you describe franchise in a simple term for my audience to actually get to understand?
Yeah, really. When franchise, everybody thinks, okay, franchise, that's food. McDonald's, it's just food. That's just restaurants. That's all that's franchise. Well, no, not really. Franchising, you take a drive down the road, you see a truck. That's probably a franchise. There's, home service. There's duct cleaning franchises, garage door franchises, woodworking franchises and remodel. And that's just a few in that one industry. There's dog grooming. So franchising is many different industries. I have about, 400 to 600 in my inventory that's out there, but I also would caution, tell people, yeah, so it's not just restaurants, but it isn't this big thing that, oh, the franchise, they just want your money and they don't want you to be successful. Well, they really do want you to be successful, because anytime someone's not successful, it's going to kind of really be
Yeah.
I don't want to say not very good favorable for them. So they have just as much skin in the game as you. They want you to succeed, but also a franchise is the ultimate business partner, really. And the reason why is they give you a playbook to follow. You have to follow that playbook. If you're driving down the road and you see those guardrails, you're feeling a little bit better. You're not going to go off the road because of guardrails. Same thing in business. The franchise keeps you locked in on the path you're supposed to be going. So not only do they help you launch your business of finding a location, helping you find a location, giving you that training, giving you that support while you're open, but they give you ongoing support. But also they give you marketing behind that. So it
Yeah.
really is a great business in a box. They can help you, give you vendors that will help you with bookkeeping and whatnot. But the other thing is, your franchisees in the system, those are like your teammates, and they're going to help you just as much as the franchisor is going to help you. So franchising really is, yeah, you do have to pay the royalties. I might as well do it on my own. But I would say, well, if you're going to do it on your own, you're going to do it on your own. You're not going to have that outside help.
Yeah, so true, so true. So what make franchising such an appealing path for someone leaving a job or even a trade career?
Yeah. I mean, really, the great thing is I'm leaving a job and I could do it on my own, like we talked about. So you're going to have to do a lot of legwork. You're going to have to come up with systems that you got to put in place to run the business. You got to, if it's a brick and mortar, you got to find a location. In that franchise, you're going to have that business in a box type of, hey, we're going to train you. Even though you may not know how to fix an HVAC system, you can buy an HVAC business in franchising because you're there to run the business. So they're going to give you all the tools to do that and tell you and show you the people that you need to hire to do that. So if air conditioning is your dream, you can do that in a franchise system because they teach you how to do that. They teach you how to run a business. So I would say anybody who's looking to leave a job, that the franchise is that safety net of giving you all the tools you need to succeed.
Amazing, amazing. So you have actually helped people across different industries find the right franchise fit. What do you look for when you are guiding them through that decision?
That's a great question. Really, it has to be, the first one is, hey, what are you qualified? So do you have what it takes? Usually in franchising, you want to have about 50,000 of liquid cash. So there's different ways to fund a franchise. You could self-fund it. And most franchises are about 100,000 to 200,000, and they could go up from there. But a home service one, you're probably in the $150,000 range. Let's just say 50,000 liquid cash. You can do two things. You can self-fund it. You could do a HELOC on your home, or you could do a 401k rollover, which is really popular with people that are coming out of the workforce. Or you could get an SBA loan, and an SBA loan requires 20% down to get a loan for your initial investment. So, there's different ways to do that. So we talk about the financials. This is kind of what the franchise is going to talk. Does it sound good to you? Yeah, absolutely. Then we talk about, are you looking to do, owner operator model or semi-passive? You'll still be part of, you'll very involved in the business, but you'll hire a manager to do the day to day. So you're going to hire a manager, or you're going to be the owner operator and be in the business and be the manager in there. So you got to figure out kind of what your role is going to be there. And then we talk about, are you looking at multiple units? You want to just start with one unit? Kind of what's your goal there? And then from there, we talk about all the industries that are out in the franchise world of home service, of dog grooming, sports and entertainment field, senior care, health and wellness. So we talk about all those categories and rank them of where they where it fits of interest. And then I go back and put a list together, and then I show you your options and we talk about that. Some people come to me with, this is what I want, and tell me about it and see if it's a good fit. I'll tell them about it and they'll go, okay, yeah, I want to talk with the franchisor. That would be great. But it's just really, when someone doesn't know what they're looking for, it really is looking at all the industries that are out there.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thanks for that. I think the part that you make reference of qualification simply means there's a whole lot of things that actually goes in when it comes to franchising, and yeah, having liquid cash actually more like speak volumes to what could be actually be obtainable on those who without wouldn't even skill at all. So there are over more like 400 brands you represent. What are some industries people often overlook that actually perform really well?
I would say really the pet industry does. It performs really well that people overlook. But if you have the liquid capital and you have the capital, preschools are really great out there.
Preschool.
Preschools are really, really strong that most people don't really think about that. The home service market, there's really, really good where you can work from home, run the business from home and do things that are just really like wood rot repair. You just wouldn't think that. That's a very good, strong business in roofing and air duct cleaning. A lot of home services, they're a little bit lower investment, but they're very good as well. We could go on and on about different industries that people don't think about, but just really whatever your interest is, it does the shipping business really, really strong. A business selling hydraulic hoses is really, really well. So I mean, there's lots of things that you would even trash, smashing people's trash. That does really well. Of job sites of where the dumpster's full and you're like, okay, well, we got to wait. Well, if you hire this company, this franchise, they'll come smash your dumpster down. Now you're back to, the dumpster's been smashed down and you still have half a dumpster to use. That really not only saves you money, but increases productivity too.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, amazing, amazing. This is really lovely. Is the fact that getting to know now that there's a whole lot of opportunity when it comes to franchise, even in the service industries, that's often overlooked. And even not that you even make reference of it, some persons doesn't even know that the franchise actually exists in those particular places, especially in the blue collar entrepreneur, which is service business and a whole lot of things. And just getting to know it's really, really amazing. And I know my audience are actually be to hear more about it. So, what are the most common mistake or misconception people have when they first start looking into franchising?
Yeah, so I think really the common mistake is that, hey, the franchise, I just pay a franchise fee, and the franchise runs the franchise, and they buy all the equipment, right? No, no, it's your business. You own the business. You're going to run the business. It's your blood, sweat, and tears. The franchise is there to help you. But no, the franchise doesn't buy the equipment for you. You have to come up with the capital to invest that in there, and you got to make the system go. Oftentimes, you always want to talk with existing franchisees and franchise systems because you want to make sure that they're getting great support, that they would do that again, and all that. So it's very important talking with franchisees in systems, but with the franchisees, they also will tell you, hey, the most common thing is we're going to get great support. The misconception is when you are validating that, when you typically talk with a franchisee that's struggling, it is because they're not putting in the effort, and one, they're not following the franchise, what they're telling you to do, the guidelines. And it's always important too of, can you follow a franchise system? So if you're the personality and type that goes, in McDonald's, I really think a quarter pounder really shouldn't be sold. I have my own hamburger that I think will do much better than a quarter pounder. Well, if that's your case and you're not going to follow the system that
Yeah.
they perfected, franchising is not for you. And I've had some conversations with people who said, yeah, if you're looking to do your own thing and, change the way things are done in the franchise, that probably not going to be for you. You need to follow the system. Yes,
Yeah.
let's suggestions of how to make the business better because that's going to help everyone. But to change the main thing, that the franchising is not for you.
Wow, wow, amazing. Thanks for actually more like make reference of that because I think a whole lot of person just have this misconception that's just we make reference of it earlier on that once they pay for franchise, all their things are being bought by the franchisee, not knowing that they are the sole responsibility. What franchise actually more like those who actually are it to actually give them guideline on how they could do it better, to skill better, and to actually more like serving as a guidance compared to them providing all the resources needed towards doing that particular job. So you have talked about semi absenteeism in ownership. What does that mean, and how does it work for someone who wants to keep their day job?
Absentee ownership, that's a great one in the franchise world. Does it exist? Some concepts, but mainly, I would say if you're going to be an absentee owner, you have to have a manager who's top notch and can run it. If you're going to get into it, I would say that semi-absentee to keep your job, you're going to have a good team to do that. So you'll have to have a little bit more capital to do that. One of the industries that's really strong with a semi-absentee owner is maybe concepts that don't require a lot of labor. There's indoor golf simulators is a fine one where indoor golf simulator they don't this particular franchise doesn't offer food or beverage. It's 24/7 access into the golf facility that you do. And it really, it's all done on an app. It's all done, there where you come in and you can do your gameplay and it's all automated. So that is one that you typically can do with 10 to 15 hours a week of just putting into it. That one seems to work really well as far as absentee ownership. I would just caution really in absentee ownership, it's really you got to have that strong manager and you have to manage the manager to make sure they're doing the job. But there's some franchises that will allow you to do that. And there's others that say, no, we want only owner operators. I would say not absentee ownership, but semi-passive is a good goal to be in franchising and hiring a manager that's going to oversee the day to day.
Amazing. Semi-passive is better than competitive. Yeah, I think it's okay being that when it comes to labor and yeah, you have to just be there. You have to just be there to actually follow a whole lot of rules. Except just where you make reference of it, AI is running it or some other platform is running it at the background, which doesn't require you being there every now and then. But once labor is involved, definitely you have to
Yes.
most likely you have to be there to actually put things in order and put this in check. So you have also helped business owner turn their company into franchise. What does that process look like, and who is ready for that particular step?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people think, well, I got to have 10 units before I can do that as a business owner. Really, you're looking, if you have a system that you can duplicate in there and you are profitable and can show that you're profitable, you could turn your business into a franchise without even having a second location. Franchising your business is an amazing way to grow using other people's money to help you grow of doing that. That process really looks like getting an FDD company I work with. They help you do a FDD, which is a franchise disclosure document. They help you figure out, okay, what are we going to charge for the franchise fee? And that's a one-time fee paid to the franchisor. And then let's list out what is it going to cost to open your initial investment to get one of these open. So work with lawyers to draw that up. But then the other thing really is we got to market this now. So we give you a lot of marketing tools out there. And the company that I work with, once you decide, hey, I'm going to franchise, I'll just say Bob's Air Conditioning. We might change the name from Bob's Air Conditioning to a different name to make it more catchy or a logo, but we're going to do that FDD. We're going to now take this franchise and there's a franchise shows, expos. So we're going to exhibit this business for in 10 to 15 expos throughout the country of here's this new franchise. This is why you want to go with this franchise because here's what we can do to help you, and here's why we're different than anybody out there. Oftentimes, it's just because hey, we have a lot of territory, and we'll help support you and help you grow. Then after that process is done, the FDD is approved. You're out there, help you register in the franchise states, and then introduce you to broker networks where they help you broker deals, where you can tell them about your franchise to help get deals across the finish line and to tell you about people and start talking with candidates and show them what that looks like. Of how we're going to hold your hand and tell you, here's how you talk with a candidate and here's how you progress them along the steps to see if they could become a franchisee for you.
Wow, 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 amazing. I think it's a very robust system, but if followed right, it just shows that it's something that can be done. And yeah, amazing, amazing. So many people actually feel stuck in corporate job, but don't know where to start. What is the first small step they can take towards owning a business?
Okay, we talked about it already. Fear. Lose the fear. Take that step. Don't look at excuses. Oh, I'm just going to wait for the stock market to turn. And then the stock market turns, then it's another excuse. I mean, really, just go. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to, of course, it's going to be fearful. I mean, we all had fear when we did that, but don't be paralyzed by fear when you're waiting for the stock market to go up, or there's tariffs, or oh, there's an election coming, or my football team didn't win the Super Bowl. When that happens, I'll do a franchise. I mean, there's many excuses you hear, and it's like, let's really kind of look at this to see if it's the right fit. So let's have an open mind and look at what are some franchises that would be you would be open to, and look at the investment level, and look at just the industries that are out there that would be available to you, and just see, does this sound of interest? Is it something that I would like to do and bet on myself? And you may be times when you go through this and you go, yeah, that's just not me. I've got to be in corporate America and stay there, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would say that most people that I talk to who are entrepreneurs, they will always tell you, I wish I would have done this sooner. You know, you're the guy, I
Yeah,
wish I wouldn't have put those 5 more years into my company because they laid me off, darn it. I wish I would have done this sooner and started something of my own.
amazing, amazing. So you have actually built a business, helping others build theirs. What has been your most rewarding moment so far?
Really, every moment's rewarding of helping people find a franchise, and when they get anybody, every single one, when they get across the finish line is just rewarding, because I know this is going to change their lives. They're going to go on this journey of taking their freedom back, of setting their own schedule, of being able to make kids baseball games, make events.
Yeah.
So each and every one of them are very, very dear to me. And you always remember the first deal I ever did was a home service deal of helping a gentleman who just was in the IT department in corporate America. He left that job, and he he looked into a house cleaning business, of housekeeping service, of residential. He loved it. He loved the systems behind it. He loved the process behind it. And, he got his SBA loan, and went through it. And he was so happy that, he was like, during this time of this process, I got to be honest, I was still looking for another job, even though when I left. And he goes, but every time I saw what potentially could do for me. I mean, he was realistic. He goes, I know that there's a chance this might not work. You always gotta,
Yeah.
it's there, right? But he was like, I couldn't pass it up. And those were just, you can't pass it up, because it's time to take control of my life and do something. So that was very rewarding that he got into that. And he's doing very well out there, and just every person, it's all rewarding.
Wow, amazing. I think from what you just said, yeah, entrepreneurship is very, very lovely, being that you take ownership and also take the headache too, because it's quite demanding, but it's very, very rewarding. So once you can actually more like put in the time, put in your efforts out to actually make things right. And yeah, it's pretty well, because at the end of the day, you own the outcome, you own everything. It's really, really very lovely way to be. So finally, James, for someone listening right now who is on the edge of a big transition, what advice will you leave them with about taking control of their next chapter?
There's many opportunities out there, and I would say go forward with someone like myself or me, of helping you on this journey to see what is out there. You really kind of owe it to yourself. Just check it out, of seeing what is out there in the franchise world, in the industries, and just think of, wow, I would really love to be in an industry that, helps kids with muscle recovery. That was just
Mm.
on my mind, because before I did this, I was talking with a teacher. He's a teacher, and he's looking at doing a kids muscle recovery business, because in his high school, he's seen a lot of kids that have come up with injuries, and he's like, I want to help these kids. So he's looking at a franchise that does red light therapy, muscle stimulation, and that he's looking to get into. And he's still looking to keep his teaching job, but he has a person that he feels really comfortable that they could run the business. So he's looking very seriously at doing that. And before this process, before we started this, he was looking at, I might want to do a tutor business that does that, and do a brick and mortar there. Or, kind of always, my dad had a window washing business, and I kind of want to look at those. But, when we looked at the possibilities, and he said, well, wait a minute, there's health and wellness and sports that can help children, and being around it, he was like, this is something he's excited, something he's really excited about, that, I think there's a good chance that he will go through and go through with this franchise.
Wow, wow, amazing. Thank you so much, James. Thanks for what you do. And thank you for actually more like giving reason to a whole lot of persons to actually start anew with an intriguing energy, with a whole load of possibility of what is possible in the future. So, James, my audience are about to do our business with you, connect with you, listen on to you. What platform can they reach out at? Where can they search for you?
Yeah, thefrandream.com, right there's my website, or just james@thefrandream.com. Shoot me an email. Love to talk and chat, and let's just talk and just see what the possibilities are.
Wow, amazing, amazing. James, thank you for sharing your journey and for breaking down franchising in such a relatable way. You have shown that building a business doesn't always mean starting from scratch. It's about finding the right system and the right supports and the right fit. To connect with James or explore franchise opportunity, visit thefrontdream.com. And to everyone listening, remember, every dream starts with a decision to move forward. I'm Aro Benaiah, and this is the Aro Benaiah Show. And it's really a pleasure having you, James.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Had a great time.